Roger Sarn.
Welcome back to the Roger Sarn podcast, and I'm your host, Sarn Cruz. And on today's episode of Financial Readiness Friday, Mission Money, we're going to be talking about interest rate and APR. We're going to be talking about what the difference is between those because many times we often conflate the two and think they're the same. And as you guys already know, this section is geared towards you, the soldier, to gain financial literacy and conquer your financial goals. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the agenda. Oh, real quick, we're not going to be doing any PowerPoint today. You guys probably already know, I went to NTC, just got back probably like a week ago. Been getting my life together and got a new monitor. So the whole setup is different. I did a whole different setup, you'll see, because we're gonna use my desk as a whiteboard because we're gonna be doing some examples. But yeah, just bear with me. I got all my notes here for everything. Today's gonna be a different type of episode. If you're listening to this on the podcast for the examples, you might want to go ahead and head over to YouTube. And while we're talking about YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. All right, so without further ado, let's just go ahead and get into it. So interest rate and APR. Today we're going to be talking about the difference between interest rate and APR. We're going to talk about what is interest rate. Then we're going to move into what is the APR. And then in between, we're going to be doing some calculations on what interest rate is and how to calculate it, and what the APR is and how to calculate it. And then we'll just go ahead and conclude, right? So let's talk about the difference between interest rate and APR. The main difference is going to be interest rate is just calculating what you're paying on the loan, like the amount that you're paying for the loan itself. The APR, on the other hand, is going to be talking about the interest rate included and then all the fees that are added into it. So a lot of times you're going to see the APR can be higher than the interest rate, and that's normal because of the fact that you're including the interest rate in there. Now, understanding the APR itself is good because that's going to help you when you want to go for a home loan, if you're getting into credit cards, whatever it is. Anytime you're trying to borrow money that you don't have, the banks are going to charge you, and you need to understand what is it that's the whole fee that's entailed. That's the purpose of here. So what is interest rate? The basic is it's the money that you're being charged for either that car, for either that house, whatever it is or that personal loan, whatever it is money that you're getting, the lender has to make their money. That's the way that they make their money. And it's expressed in the form of percentage. So let's go ahead and calculate simple interest real fast. So when we talk about, hold on, let me make sure I get this right. All right, so this is my desk. As I said, if you're listening, then you're not going to be able to see it, but you can go ahead and head to YouTube. I have a desk, it's my whiteboard, and we're going to just calculate what simple interest is. So let's see here, simple interest, right? And that's going to be, let's say, for instance, you're trying to get a home loan, and that home loan is $300,000, right? 300K. And your interest rate, right? Your rate is 4%. I have to laugh because we know that 4% is kind of hard to get right nowadays, if not impossible. It's going to be 4%, and then you're going to be at, what is it? The time, which is going to be 30 years, right? 30 years. So if we talk about interest rate, there is a formula, and that's going to be principal times rate times time. So that's represented as a P times rate, the R times time. So we already have the amount, right? We have the principal, which is going to be $300,000. We have the rate, which is 4%. And when you're doing your calculations, you must put the percentage in percent in a decimal form. So 0.04, and that's going to be times 30 years, times 30. So we already have the P, the R, and the T, right? And if you, and that's going to, hold on, and that's PRT. Get it? PRT? Nah, I'm joking. And that's going to be total interest paid. That's equal to total interest paid. Now, if we do this equation, which I've already done, 300K times 4% times 30, that's going to give you a grand total of $360,000. Now, this is the reason why banks love home loans. I'm pretty sure, I have to double check, but I'm 99.9%, 99% that America, the United States of America, we're the only country who still does or does 30-year mortgages. And if you see the calculations, you'll see why. All right. So in 30 years, you're paying $360,000 in mortgage interest, and then you're going to pay $300,000 in mortgage because that's the cost of the house. And that's going to give you $660,000 that you're going to pay for that house if you took 30 years to pay for it. Is that not a racket or what? I'm just like, you literally paid 200% of the amount. 203, 4, 5%, whatever it is, but you've paid double plus on your mortgage if you took 30 years. And in the future, I will talk about ways to, if you wanted to pay your house off, ways to pay it off. If you're living it, if you're not living it, then you rent it out, and then you ain't got to worry about none of that. You just collect the money. But that, in a nutshell, is how you calculate simple interest. You go ahead and if you just wanted to see by year, then you would just do the 300,000 times 4%, and that'll give you, I think, $12,000. So that would be $12,000 a year. And the reason why you would do that is, I guess you would want to look at amortization. Be like, okay, I'm paying $12,000 in interest only towards the house in my first year. You know what I mean? So that's good to check when you want to double check your amortization schedule. All right. So let's go back into the APR. What is APR? So APR is going to be the annual cost of borrowing the money shown in a percentage. As previously stated, your APR is going to include your interest. However, it also includes whatever origination fees, points, broker fee, whatever fees they add. That's what it's going to include, and that's why it's really smart to know APRs, because at this point, and when you're shopping for a home, let's say for instance, or even credit card, whatever it is that you're shopping for, knowing the APR and understanding it, you will see what companies are charging you what type of fees. Because if you ever purchased a house in your life, you will know that there's fees for almost everything. I'm talking about, it can add up to thousands of dollars in fees, and all of that is included into your APR. Okay. So, and it also, the APR is based on your credit worthiness. So if you out here missing payments and being broke and acting all crazy and buying every type of freaking sneaker that comes out and forgetting to, and not paying your bills, when you go to apply for any type of loan, and we're going to use the term loan loosely, right? We're going to loans mean the lines of credit. Loan is going to mean credit card. Loan is going to be money, personal loans, house, whatever it is. Anytime you're trying to borrow money, let's make it simpler. Your credit worthiness is going to dictate what your APR is, right? And a lot of times you'll see is that creditors will give you a low introductory rate. Like for instance, they'll do credit cards, right? I'm pretty sure many of you have received these credit card offers that say, well, you're pre-approved and this, that, and a third, and this amount. And you'll see that it'll say something along the lines of, well, you'll have 0% interest APR, 0% APR for the next up teen amount of months. One thing about that is they're typically going to do bare minimum 6 months. It might even be in a law somewhere. Don't quote me. But 6 months is probably the least I've ever seen. And I've seen 6 months offers to 12-month offer to 18-month offer in reference to zero APR and zero APR on loan balance transfers, whatever it is. That'll be an introductory rate, and a lot of times they do that, and then they spike it up for a couple of clauses that they'll have. Maybe you missed a payment, boom, it spikes up. Um, or the term is that time. So whatever your balance is at that moment, you're now gonna go from 0% to 20%, 22%, 18%, whatever the percentage is that it says. I've seen some offers that say 29%. I'm like, I would never, ever get you. Ever. But yes, that's gonna be the gist of the APR, right? It has your interest rate and it's gonna take in all the accounts for your fees, and your credit is going to dictate the APR. Now let's go into a scenario of the APR real fast. Let me go ahead and erase this. I don't know where my eraser is. Of course, I lost my eraser. And give me 1 second while I get my life together. Here it is. Okay. So let's say, for instance, you are trying to get let me get this out the way. Say, for instance, you're trying to get like a personal loan, right? Here we go, up here. So you're trying to get personal loan. Let's say personal loan. Trying to get a personal loan because you're broke. You ain't got no money. But for some reason, you need money to pay off all your bills and you're trying to consolidate that, whatever it is, the reason why you're getting your personal loan. Let's say you're getting one, right? So, and let's give it a term. So let's give it a principal, which is going to be $5,000, small personal loan. And then it's going to be at 5% origination fee, at 10% interest. So interest. And that's going to be for 3 years. Because ain't nobody giving you no personal loan for 45 years. All right. So in order to calculate your personal loan, you have to follow an equation. And here we go. So what we're trying to do, we're trying to find the APR on that personal loan. And that's going to be rate plus fee divided by principal over number of days of loan times 365, which is your APR, annual percentage, and it's multiplied by 100. And that's multiplied by 100 because it's your annual. That's how you convert your annual percentage rate into percent. Okay. So if you were following along earlier, how am I going to get the rate? How do I calculate rate? My interest rate, right? Because the rate is interest rate. How do I find my interest rate? Okay. For those of you, PRT is going to be percentage times rate times time, and that's going to give me what my rate is. So my not percentage, principal. So my principal is 5K and my rate is 10%. So we're going to write that in a decimal format, 0.10. And we're going to multiply that by 3 years. And that's going to give me a total of $1,500. So that's going to get plugged into my rate. So let's put 1,500 up here real fast. Let's put it somewhere like right here, just so I don't forget. So now I have to find what my fee is, right? And the fee is going to be the originate. We're trying to figure out how much they're charging us on the loan. So it's going to be the origination fee. And we're going to multiply that by the principal. And that's going to give me the total in fees. I have to keep looking at the screen to make sure that I'm doing it right. It seems like I'm going in an airplane. All right. So the original fee is going to be 5%. So we're going to write that in a decimal format. And the principal is 5,000. And that's going to give me, somebody go ahead and do that calculation real fast. Don't worry. I'll wait. All right, and that's going to be $250. So now I know, so 1,500 and 250. Now I know what my fee is, so I can plug that in. So let's go ahead and put a 250 there. I'm going to rewrite this in a second. And again, those of you who are listening, if you're not following along, go ahead and watch the YouTube whenever you have a chance, because there's some good information. Now, the next thing I want to figure out is the number of days of the loan. And that's going to be super simple, because that's going to be 365 days, because that's how many we have a year. We're going to multiply that times 3. And that's going to give me, I'll do this because I don't care about you guys understanding simple math. I know you got that. I care about everything else. So that's going to be 1,095 days. Over 1,095 days. Okay. So we have all 3 components that we need. So let me go ahead and erase this and get this out the way. So let's write the equation again. APR is going to be equal to put that in there. $1,500 plus $1,500 plus $250 over 1,095 days, and we're going to divide the total sum of the 15 plus the 250. We're going to divide that by the 5,000, which is the principal. Then all of that is going to get multiplied by 365. And then multiply everything by 100. So we can calculate that in percentage. Okay. So we know that this is going to give us the 1,500 plus the 250 is going to give us 1,750. So that's what we're paying in fees and our interest rate. That's going to be the total of that. Now we have to divide that by 5,000. And we still have the 195 under it. Still going to multiply by 365. And I'm walking you through the whole thing. You can probably use a calculator if you want to, but I think the more you know, the better. The more you know how to do it. Now we're going to go back to the equation. APR is going to be equal to 1750 divided by 5,000 is going to give us 0.35. And that's going to be over 1,095 days. Multiplying by 365 again, we're still not done, times 100. So now APR is going to be, when we divide the 0.35 by 1,095 days, and make sure that you keep this, when you get this number, make sure that you keep that number the way it shows on your calculator, okay? That's going to be 0.0003196 times 365. So we're getting to the 365 finally, times the 100. 365 is the annual percentage, and or the annual days, and the 100 is going to be the annual percentage in percent. So APR, now that we're ready to multiply the extreme long decimal number by 365, is going to give us 0.11666667 times 100. And now my APR, once I multiply that decimal number, 0.11666667 times 100, that's going to give me 11.666667. And if we write that in simple terms that we can understand, because the APR is going to be 2 digits before and after the decimal, we have 11.67%. That's going to be your annual percentage rate on said loan. Oh God, it's shaking. So if you'll notice, let me get this out the way. If you'll notice, the APR is 11.67. However, the interest rate is only 10%. So the other 1.67 is going to incorporate the origination fee. And this is why you need to understand interest rate versus annual percentage rate, APR. I didn't know this a long time ago. I just thought interest rate APR was like, okay, you divide whatever the interest rate is by 12, and that gives you the annual percentage rate. Wrong. I was wrong. If I had to use stupid soundbite, I would do it. But 1,000%, if you understand what the interest rate is, you're going to be a lot better off in life, because this it's just it. All right. All right. So let's go ahead and conclude, because I've been on here for way too long. All right. So the conclusion is the interest rate and the APR are very important when it comes to borrowing money. You got to understand it. As you can see, that math that I just did, and how we came to understand that I know my interest rate is 10%, but my APR is going to be 11.67. Why is it higher? Now we know why. So in general, the higher your credit score is, the lower your rate is going to be. And this is pretty much what you do need to understand is, when you're shopping, let's say for a vehicle, for instance, because that's the most common purchase, I think, that we can come in and play on a level field, that most of us do. The dealership does not have to give you the best interest rate, the best APR. They don't have to, because they can just tack on fees and tack on fees and tack on fees. And this is why when you're purchasing a vehicle, you want to shop around. A lot of you guys think that, I don't want to hit my credit too many times. I don't want to hit my credit too many times. Well, two things I'm going to say. Get your credit score up, so when you hit it a few times, you don't care. I think mine I'm not even going to talk about mine, but mine was pretty decent. The heck with it. 777, because it was kind of dope that when they sent it to me, I was like, oh shoot, it's 777s. So, and if I went shopping around, I know for a fact that when I go shopping in a 30-day period and I'm shopping for a car, all of those are going to count as one inquiry. There's going to be a whole bunch of them, but it counts as one because they know that I'm shopping for a vehicle. So understand that you can hit your credit as many times as you want to because it's for a purchase in a 30-day period, obviously. And that's going to be the best way to shop or to get the best interest rate is to shop around, and that's what you got to do. All right, so that's it. That's all. That's all I have. I'm sorry that was about 25 minutes of calculating interest rate and talk about APR and stuff like that. If you found this video useful, do me a favor. Go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, share, do all that cool stuff. Um, those of you guys who listening on the podcast on the platform, thank you guys for listening. Download and leave a review. Follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and what's the other one? TikTok. And if you have any questions, comments, concerns, go ahead and send me an email at rogersarn@gmail.com. You guys already know if you want to be on the show, you want me to interview you, hit me up at rogersarn@gmail.com. I think, hold on. I just got these Rode wireless mics. So I'll be out in the field finding soldiers to interview out in the field. Yeah, I appreciate it. Remember, you guys, you don't have to embrace the suck if you got the right tools in your ruck. I'm Sarn Cruz, and I'm out. Peace.